What's was amazing, I think, is that firstly, I hope that everyone watches this interview that knows you. Why? Because when they see someone like you, they think like this guy, he just overnight success. They don't see the hours you put in the pizza shop, right? They don't see the doner kebab that you helped to load, and they don't see all of that stuff. They just see this guy who's done amazing things, right? So there's one thing there in the sense of like this. There's a real like decades of journeying to get to where you need to get to, right? And then the second thing is how the qadr of Allah, like you were in that queue at Staples at that point, right? Imagine if you had got to Staples 5 minutes later, or 5 minutes earlier, or something like that. And then you're saying this client was actually a big client, your first client, which probably gave you a massive boost and a big confidence thing as well.
And I mean, there's so many stories, it's unbelievable. I don't know how long we've got with
Forever.
This chat. I remember I invited him to the office, and I said, "Come to the office, and let's have a pizza." So this guy was like a private educated, really well spoken Scottish man, and he had his suit on and he had a cravat on and the pocket square.
Okay.
Come in, and he says, "Is this your office?" I says, "Yeah." You're gonna have, and I forgot that you have to duck under the pizza, the counter. You have to duck under the counter to get. And because I've done it so much, I'm like, "This is what we do. We just kind of duck under."
Yeah.
And he was like, he looked at, "You want me to walk through there?" I says, "Yeah." So he's quite a, you know what I mean?
Big lad.
Mashallah kind of guy. So he ducked under, squeezed in, and he walked up the stairs and says, "Right, Adeem, I'm here for I like so-and-so pizza. Can I have a look at the menu?" And I'm thinking, okay, if you want to look at the menu. So he's looking at the menu like really intensely, and we got a pizza. And obviously, who uses knives and forks to have a pizza? Anyway, in his inside jacket, he had a knife and fork, and he had his own napkin.
Amazing.
And I was like, so this is the, and then he said one thing to me, and it was quite, it stuck with me for a long time. And I guess that's the kind of rule that I live my life by as well in terms of entrepreneurial, the entrepreneur life is that he said, "Adeem, I'm sick of paying agency fees. I'm sick of paying big companies in Manchester and London. And I'm sick when I go to their offices and I see they've got multi-million-pound office block and whatever, and they've got these big fancy offices and they've got their Porsches and their Ferraris and all the rest of it parked outside. And I know I'm paying for that. My money is paying for all that." And he says, I am really loving the fact that I can help somebody like yourself and support someone like yourself and give you that step up. Trust me, he made us work for it. He made us work for it. And I remember we put so much time and effort into this brochure in terms of this whole kind of like pack when we presented to him, and he was paying, like first page, introduction page, about us. And what he did was he picked the brochure up and he turned it on its. For him, it was about, he knew what he was getting himself into because he'd seen the setup, and he'd had a sample of the work, but he looked at the price first and started. I was like, okay. So, we learn from other people's behaviors, and we learn from how people treat us in terms of how we want to be treated, and also how we want to be treated all the time. And I guess for myself, it's about being self-funded, alhamdulillah, with the blessings of Allah. But also just about learning on the fly, constantly learning. And I go back to the challenge, there was a big challenge of finding more customers and clients. And the first one just dropped in our lap. It was just like, wow. And then after that, it was a case of you've got to go pitch and you've got to go get this job and you've got to go get that job and you've got to go pitch again and you've got to be in the running for this and you've got to network here and there and everything. And it's like, my God, this is hard work. Because I guess half of your work isn't actually doing the work. Half of your work is actually finding the work and like selling yourself and getting the work in. And then I guess I was, whilst I was going through that challenge and that huge challenge at work in terms of establishing the business and establishing what we were about and exactly where we fit, there was a huge challenge at home. And the challenge at home was my mum wanted me to get married because I was the eldest out of three. My mum was like, "You need to get married. In fact, you're going to get married to your uncle's daughter in Pakistan. We're going to get you married to your uncle's daughter in Pakistan." And here's a photograph, and the photograph was on the mantelpiece as you go in on the fireplace. it was there. And my mum was like, "You're getting married to your uncle's daughter in Pakistan, and she's going to make some lovely chapatis for you. She's going to look after you." And I think in a selfish way, my mum was like, "You know what? She's going to look after me as well. She's going to come home and she's going to really look after me, and I'm going to have somebody to talk to and all the rest of it. And we'll have grandchildren. I can look after his grandchildren." So, but alhamdulillah, it was a difficult time because you want to pursue your career, you want to pursue your passion, but then I guess you have a duty as well. And Islamically, marriage is half our faith, and deep down you want to do the best you can for yourself and for your religion. But also, I did feel that there was a burden of responsibility on my shoulders to make sure that my mum, she was being looked after, but also that my mum was happy with my decisions. And me being the eldest of three, I was being a good role model to my two younger sisters. And my mum said to me, "You know what? You can get married to whoever you want." And I said, "Oh, really? I thought you wanted me to get married to my uncle's daughter." She goes, "No, you can get married to whoever you want if you've got somebody. But if you haven't got somebody until summer, we're going to go to Pakistan and we're going to get you married in summer."
Oh.
Wow. You know what I mean? You've been telling me, I've been, all my life you've been telling me not to talk to girls, not to have girlfriends, and now you say go find one. I'm like, where do I find one from? Do you know what I mean? You've been, slapping my ass saying, "Don't you dare talk to girls, and it's haram to have a girlfriend," and da 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 da. Like, okay, wow. So I went back to the office and I was scratching my head thinking, okay, and talking to people and being at that time, and I guess still at this time, it's a challenge of a whole generation. The challenge of a whole generation is how do we find a suitable, compatible marriage partner? Because it's not easy. Because we live busy lives and we're in pockets around the country. And if we're in a certain profession, we're not going to bump into somebody in the office because you're just not going to meet a suitable. There's not enough choice for starters. So where do you find somebody? And there's a little bit of an industry now in terms of marriage websites and marriage apps and so on and so forth. But we were literally the people to kind of start off that whole kind of industry in the sense of making the search digital and taking it onto a digital platform. And that's what I did. I kind of set up, and the guys at the office thought I was completely doolally. I said, "Look, my mum's asking me to find somebody and I can't find anybody, and I think this will be a really amazing opportunity for us to set up a website. We're going to call it Single Muslim, and we're going to launch it, and people are going to use this. It's going to be a profile-based marriage website." And they were like, "I'm not sure, Adeem. I'm not sure how that's going to work." Everybody's doing their own. Anyway, I kind of like pushed it as a bit of a pet project at the same time trying to keep the business afloat. And sure enough, as soon as we launched it on the first day, as soon as we pressed that button to make it live, we had registrations coming in. We had loads of registrations coming in. And then we had to, the early days of SM were just pure hustle.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second.
Most of the people didn't even know.